Okay, you're getting that one. Okay, yeah. Okay. Compliance statement. Notice was provided in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 to the Burlington County Times, Trenton Times, and Philadelphia Inquirer, stating the date, time, place, and the agenda to the extent it was known. Additionally, notice was filed in the office of the Township Clerk.
Okay.
We have an executive session to start the meeting off with. It's going to be Resolution 306, resolution authorizing an executive closed session in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act to discuss personnel matters, pending litigation, and contract matters. Can I get a motion and second?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Whitfield. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Prone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We will be back at 7. Yes. We can reconvene at 7 p.m.
Can I get a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Brown?
Present.
Yes. Councilwoman Whitfield?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So for our prayer this evening, we have Chaplain James Paris from High Place Church. Unfortunately, Chaplain Thompson wasn't able to make it.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Amen.
All right. Before we begin, I want to take a moment of silence in honor of the life of Kim Beecham Hansen. She was a member of our Willenboro community and a dedicated employee at the senior center. So I just want to take the time to just give her a moment of silence in honor of her today, please. Thank you. There'll be more. We'll have some more to say in the upcoming year at our next meeting. Moving along, we also have a very special resolution of a person who just happened to be my high school classmate, Mr. I'm sorry, Command Master Chief Simba Wallace. And I'm gonna say he's a very special person. And unfortunately, when tragedy happens, he lost his life in a truck accident with his wife in North Carolina. But he was one of those special people who was funny and comical, but just helpful and loving and kind to people. So he went on to pursue various things in the military, but it always reminds me of how fertile grounds Willenboro is and how, we produce some phenomenal people. And I say phenomenal from the accolades that he received, living and after his death, thousands of how he helped them, how he inspired them, how he empowered them. And, unfortunately, when tragedy happens, we announce that, but he is reminding me of my hometown and the people that we produce that leave and are inspirational outside of the confines of Willingboro. So I just wanted to take a moment. I'm gonna have Dr. Worthy read the resolution of life for Command Master Chief Simba Wallace. Very special person. And I would like, for as a community, we surround the family. Miss Maddox is here, and Anika is here, his Simba's sister. Surround them with love, prayers. And I think they would appreciate that. But, we honor Simba today. Thank you, Dr. Worthy.
Sure, Madam Mayor. Resolution of life honoring Command Master Chief Simba Wallace. Whereas Command Master Chief Simba Wallace, the beloved son of Judith Maddox and Tyrone Wallace, born in Camden, New Jersey and raised in Willingboro, New Jersey, exemplified these exceptional qualities throughout his life. Born on March 16, 1975, he consistently demonstrated kindness, leadership, and an unwavering dedication to the well-being of others until his passing on November 13, 2024. His actions and character inspired admiration and respect from all who had the privilege to know him. And whereas Simba Wallace was not only a remarkable leader and servant of his community and country, but also, like the character Simba from The Lion King, embodied courageous and noble qualities. He overcame challenges to fulfill his destiny, exhibiting resilience, honor, and a profound sense of responsibility. He protected those he loved, led with wisdom, and inspired others to find their own strength and courage. And whereas a graduate of Willingboro High School's class of 1994, Simba's larger-than-life personality was evident in his roles as a soccer player, junior class treasurer, senior class secretary, and enthusiastic member of the psychodrama club. He was a loyal friend and classmate who left a mark on his school community. And whereas in 1995, Simba answered the call to serve his country by enlisting in the United States Navy. He began his medical career at Hospital Corpsman A School in San Diego, California, and embarked on a path of service and compassion that would define his 29-year military career. His assignments spanned the globe and included National Naval Medical Center, the Naval Air Warfare Center in Trenton, the Naval Medical Center at Camp Lejeune, and multiple deployments with the 2nd Marine Division. And whereas Simba Wallace's distinguished naval career was marked by dedication and excellence, rising through the ranks to become Command Master Chief, he served aboard the USS Harry S. Truman and as Command Master Chief of Strike Fighter Squadron, BFA 211. His personal awards, including the Meritorious Service Medal and Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, reflect the profound impact he had on his colleagues and the missions he supported. And whereas Simba's legacy extends beyond his professional achievements, he was a world traveler, fitness enthusiast, and spin class instructor who inspired everyone with his boundless energy and positivity. Above all, Simba was a devoted family man who found his happiness in supporting his children and providing unconditional love and guidance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Kea T. McIntosh, Mayor of Willingboro, New Jersey, in solidarity with the Willingboro Township Council, the Willingboro High School class of 1994, and the whole community, do hereby honor the extraordinary life and legacy of Command Master Chief Simba Wallace. We celebrate his unwavering commitment to service, his courageous spirit, and the love and light he brought into the lives of all who knew him. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall stand as a testament to Simba Wallace's legacy of leadership, kindness, and resilience. May we all strive to embody the qualities that Simba Wallace so effortlessly displayed, and may his memory live on eternally in our hearts. Signed, Kea T. McIntosh, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Harris, we'll move on to municipal updates.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council and the public. I have submitted the full report for November to you. And it will be available on the website for the residents to review at their leisure. We are literally wrapping up the end of 2024, and there are not a whole lot of activities left remaining in the year. I believe all the activities for recreation have been completed and no other events moving forward. I do want to mention that the Department of Public Works is still in the process of collecting leaves. They will continue to be collecting leaves through mid-January, and I did authorize a little overtime so they can spend a little more time collecting those leaves past their normal work day. Just a few quick project updates. All construction has begun the rehabilitation on Marshall Lane. That was part of the 2023 road project, which was separately funded through a New Jersey Department of Transportation grant in the amount of $407,000. The bid for that project came in at $266,000, and they will begin doing the sidewalk concrete portion of that road. And depending on where the weather kind of teeters at, if it stays above a certain temperature for an extended period of time, they may go into the paving portion. Otherwise, that will probably be completed in the early spring of 2025. On Monday, the 14th, we met with Mr. Doug Johnson of Remington and Vernick to review the preliminary design plans for the pickleball courts and the Jake's Place playground at Mill Creek Park. They came back with some very rudimentary designs that we looked at, and for concept, the plans were approved, and now they're going to move into designing the full construction plans, which will be used to put the project out to bid, we hope, in early 2025. Our goal is to have construction for that project begin in April, and we anticipate a 3-month build. So that will allow enough time for those projects in Mill Creek Park to be completed before the Jazz Fest in August, and allow about 6 additional weeks for contingency. So that is our plan. On a human resource aspect, I just do want to recognize some retirees from Willingboro Township in the past month and this month. Lieutenant Robert Parton retired from the Willingboro Police Department in November. Officer Stefan Kowalowski also was an officer that retired in November. Sergeant John Mitchner retired as of this month. Sergeant Jennifer Mitnick retired as of this month. We have Patricia Conrad, who is retiring from our inspections department at the end of the month. We also have Marvin Harris from our DPW department and Mr. William Stevens from our DPW department. They're retiring at the end of this month. So we appreciate their service to Willingboro, and we wish them continued health and wellness in their retirement. So on the other flip side of that, we do have two new employees that are coming into Willingboro Township, and I will announce our new Superintendent of Public Works, Mr. Bradley Chapman, who will be joining our ranks, and the Assistant Superintendent will be Mr. Mark Philpott, and they will be reporting for duty on Monday, the 23rd, and I look forward to introducing them to the Willingboro community. And then on a more self-centered note, in the book of Samuel, David was a little distressed because the people were angry at him, and they wanted to stone him. And sometimes I come into work and I feel like the people are angry with me and want to stone me as well. But David encouraged himself in the Lord. And I'm going to encourage myself just a little bit here today in the council chamber by wishing me a happy 3rd anniversary in Willingboro. And I'm wishing me many, many more. So that is my report for this evening. Thank you. Yes. We also have for us this evening a special presentation. A few months ago in the summertime, we had an opportunity of attending an economic development symposium, I guess, at school. Yeah, one of the colleges, Rowan. And there we had an opportunity to present development opportunities in Willingboro. And we did have a few entities that expressed the desire to look at some options or opportunities for us here in Willingboro. And this evening, I would like to present two gentlemen from Genesis Capital, Mr. Reddy and Mr. Kamal, who have an interest in working with Willingboro to develop the Big D Marina property. So I'm going to present them to you at this time and come and make a formal presentation to the governing body. Gentlemen?
Good evening. My name is Gautam, my partner Rahat. It's a pleasure to be here. Hello. So, put a full screen. I think that's Zoom, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we actually got informed about Willingboro at this economic development conference, and it was very interesting because normally we do a lot of our projects in North Jersey, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Baltimore, waterfront, center city developments. We don't really. Oh, we can go next, please. So we don't or haven't really looked at any suburban projects for numerous reasons that I'm sure you guys can understand. It's obviously more lucrative. There's more opportunity, there's more upside, or so we thought. And then we had this great presentation by Mayor McIntosh and Dwayne Harris here. And they had this wonderful piece of property that I believe the city is acquiring or should have already acquired. And it's something that's been in limbo for, I think, a long time. And, you know, my partner and I, we put our heads together and thought, you know, could we bring a lot of what we had learned and what we're doing in these other cities and kind of translate that here and, you know, do something in specifically a public-private partnership capacity that would put or make Willingboro or in this specific area and Route 130 here a destination as opposed to just, you know, another random development. And that is what we are here to present today. And I think we kind of hit the mark there. And we would welcome, you know, to hear what people's opinions are once we're done with the presentation. So in short, there is a parcel for 6.8 acres, Big D Marina, right off of 130. And our plan for it is a three-phase project that is a true mixed use, commercial and residential, and mixed on the residential side as well for rentals and long-term condo residents. We would start with the retail building on the right side. Our plan. Next, please. Next. Next. Yeah. So we would start with this building here on the left. Reason being is in our discussions with the city, it was made known to us that what you guys are looking for initially is a commercial aspect, brings in businesses to this location, and which is fine with us as well, since our goal is to be working hand in hand with the city. So based on the size, and obviously these are all very, very initial, and no architects and engineers have looked at it yet, but our experience, setback size, this is what we have come up with. We're looking at a two-level building, 15,000 square feet or so for the ground level, so a boutique commercial strip, with a second level co-working space that'll be about another 13,000 square feet, floor to ceiling windows with great views of the creek in the background. And I think that in itself and everything else that we have planned for this site would bring in a lot of startups and entrepreneurs to that location, as well as the businesses that would want to service them and the residential tenants in the commercial ground floor. Next, please. So we can play the video real quick. Yeah. I'll just talk a little bit. right side, all with views of the river. We are planning ground level parking. Probably should have muted that, but okay. No worries. Yeah, let's go next. I'll talk over the renderings then. So the center building, the plan there, that's in phase 2. That is a 15,000 square foot single level building. The plan there is to have a 2,000 square foot restaurant bar, depends, what type of cuisine client. Again, too early for that, but a standalone restaurant bar with outdoor dining with direct water access. And then behind that, for the remaining 12,000 square feet, the plan is to have a very eclectic type of food hall. So we can also give opportunity to smaller entrepreneurs who want to set up stalls. Think like Reading Terminal Market, but on a smaller scale, right? And also what was requested of us, and I think we were able to do that here, is when between the commercial building on the left side and the restaurant building, you see the boat launch. And our plan there is to keep that for public access at all times. So the boat launch will remain and we will upgrade it. And then when we move to the right, now this is the residential component and this is phase 3. The building all the way to the right, you can see they're separated, is the condo building. This is for people who want to live here long-term. 80 condos are initially planned with amenities. And the reason we chose that is because they have now full water views from the left to the right side. It says they're at the end of the strip and there's nothing else after that, so nothing else can ever be developed. So they're set for life with good views. The buildings to the left of that are the rental buildings, and that'll be part of phase 3 to phase 4. Each building is roughly 115 units, and those will be for rent with amenity space that you can see like in the building as well as on the roof and on the ground level in front of the water. If anyone has been to this site, you'll notice that 130 is significantly, the grading is much higher than this section here. So when we get to the phases of construction, we'll talk about that. But the initial phase of construction would be to regrade all this, get it level, get the access going. And once we do that, you would have noticed on the backside. Let's go next, please. Or we can come back to these, but yeah, kitchen, living room concepts, large windows to capture the views and light. Next, please. Balcony views. Next, please. This is the outdoor section of the restaurant. Next, please. Co-working. Next, please. Next, please. Okay. So if you see that brown section, that's the new retaining wall once we regrade it and raise the level. And that also now becomes a fully paved walkable path that just becomes a great amenity for the people that live here and for the people that are coming to visit. Just another place to relax, walk around, fish if they want to fish. Our plan is to also, and this is in phase 5, install boat docks for anyone who has boats. And you'll notice that we have this island, Fenton Island, developed. Now, this is a big if, right, 50-50, but that also seems to be part of the potential development package. If so, then we can certainly make it a recreational area like this with a walkable bridge from the shore. But that is also dependent on a whole host of things like DEP, et cetera. We don't know what's on that island, but if everything checks out, then our plan is to and make it an area where people can come and relax and, you know, have a good time. Now, again, this is also a big if, but this is something we're also exploring if, you know, this is something that the city wants and we are able to move forward on this. The Delaware Water Commission had commissioned a study a few years ago to, and I don't know if anyone's aware, but about 50 years ago, Big D Marina had a ferry to Philly. So they commissioned a study a few years ago to bring that back and see the feasibility, et cetera, and all this, and it was very positive. But I don't think there was anyone who wanted it or was pushing for it. But if such a development was to materialize here, that would also be something that we would go after, and to establish that ferry and make this even more of a central hub, which would in turn also increase property values here and just in general bring more people to this area, to the restaurants and the commercial businesses, and even people who want to live in such a place in relaxation. Let's say startups who are in the co-working space but need to work in Philly. They can hop on the ferry, go to work, come back, right? So long-term vision. And simply to accommodate also the density, our plan is, if you look at the right side of the commercial building, you see that little light concrete, that's a ramp going underground. So since we are raising all this to have that retaining wall, our goal is to have one level underground parking, which would also serve the co-working and the commercial tenants here, as well as above ground parking. I believe, again, more studies are necessary, but I believe that should be sufficient to service the type of development we're planning here, as well as the ground level parking for the residential component. On another note, since our goal is to do this in a true public-private partnership with the city, and when I say that, it's a whole host of things and a lot more deeper discussions need to be had with relation to tax increment financing, municipal bonds, things like that that can come for this project, right, to get it off the ground. But since our plan is to do that, if for whatever reason it is determined that let's say the residential component is too big or too dense, we have no issue scaling that back. Our goal is to get something similar to this, whether it's this or a scaled down version here. And, you know, we'd be very happy to see it. And I'm sure the town will be very happy to see it. But in general, having a piece of property like this on the waterfront with actually its own island, I haven't ever seen anything like that in Jersey. So if this deal was to materialize, I think everyone in Jersey would know about it. Can we go to the slide that has the timeline? Okay, Rahad, you want to speak to this?
Yes, so let's actually, if you go a slide back, you'll see, well, we have some estimated cost towards this project. So as Gautam just mentioned, we have the project in phases. We're thinking for phase one, we want to get done environmental studies, credit studies, grant studies. That's going to cost us somewhere in the range of 700,000. We're estimating site prep, the grading, digging, the retaining wall, getting the site prepared to be able to build underground parking. So we're estimating $7 million towards that phase. Then comes the retail building, the co-working construction, we're budgeting 5 million. The restaurant food hall construction, that'll cost 2.3 million. We have the condo building at 80 units, as you mentioned, with the amenities and parking. That's coming in at 28 million. We have a link up, which I'm sure you guys can open if necessary, but that has a similar condo comparison that we looked at. Yeah, right up the road. So
Nowhere is nice.
then we have the two rental buildings totaling 230 units with amenities and parking at 52.9 million. And phase 5, which would be the last ticket item, would be the island and the dock construction. We're budgeting 1.5 million. So total budget is around 97 million for the project. Again, this is very preliminary, very high level budget based off of just the renderings that we showed you guys. Once we get into the engineering and more of the environmental studies, then we'll have a more accurate cost breakdown.
Furthermore, the goal isn't to do all this all at once, right? So we want it to be very efficient and basically, in a sense, self-funding. So if we're able to, let's say, municipal bonds,
The next
get
slide.
brownfields credits for the site, I know because I do this every day, me going after these credits myself is one thing, but in a partnership with the city, going after the state and the government is a whole different thing. So that'll open a lot more doors and get this federal money, state money that's out there for this site, right? So we want to stack all of those and get, these initial pre-construction items done and get the site ready for, positive construction for these buildings, which is the hardest part. The buildings themselves are actually not that hard to do, right? It's getting these studies done, making sure that our foundations are correct, making sure there's no water intrusion from the creek, right? All this stuff. So the goal is, we're not in a rush and we want to take our time, work with the city, and go after all these grants. As you know, these grants do take some time. Make sure we apply for all these, make sure we get as much of this free money as possible and get this project off the ground. Again, very early to discuss the specifics, but because this is in partnership with the city, that is what we're presenting. Whatever components of it on the residential side or percentages that need to be affordable levels or 55 plus, etc., we're really okay with whatever. Because we just want to actually see this development come to fruition, get it done, right? We'll go over the economics of it, like, how much has to be market rate depending on bank loans and has to support itself and things like that. So, we'll have deep dives into that as we have further discussions with the city and working on the developers agreement and the resolutions, but we will just put that out there that, we're not, saying like, oh, we only want, 5%, et cetera, things like that. It's really whatever the city's okay with.
Right. So we have the project broken down, like you said, in, over the span of the next 5 to 6 years, taking each phase at a time. And ideally would like to bring some retail component to attract the renters, right? So we don't want to put a rental building in phase 1 and not have it occupied. So we want to bring in the buildings as we go year over year, where we're increasing the traffic flow, increasing the usage of the property, where we'll then attract possible renters, buyers, to be able to fill up the residential side of it. That's about it. So again, all this is very high level, phase 2 could very well go for 2 years. Phase 1 could go for 2 years, right? We're kind of just estimating that at this point. We still have to get into the architectural and design to be able to assess that furthermore.
But, we will push it every day. I'm not from California. I live 40 minutes away, so I'll be here.
Correct.
Yeah, the floor is open to questions if anyone has any.
The next slide.
Anyone have any questions or comments? Any council?
So I heard you mention the island in the middle.
Yep.
Is it called Fenton Island or Harris Island?
It's on the map as Fenton, so.
Okay,
Sure.
I was just checking.
Encouragement.
Dr. Worthy.
Thank you,
Maps
Madam
can be
Mayor.
changed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm excited about the project and the different potentials. I appreciate the condo units mixed with the rental, as well as the opportunity to have the food hall, considering small businesses. So I really appreciate just the thoughtful design and the overall intent of the project. So I appreciate that and looking forward to see how things work out in the next steps. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you for your presentation. I was one of the folks that you met at the business mixer, and it was so refreshing to speak with you gentlemen there at that event, and just hear your imagination and your openness to consider a different type of development here in a suburban area. So we appreciate the work that you've put in so far. I'm excited for this project. as Dr. Worthy mentioned, I'm excited for the mixed-use development, not only retail, but also condos to encourage some ownership and buy-in, and then also those rental units and the reactivation of Fenton Island, I think would be whatever we name the island. But the reactivation of the
Macintosh
island would be a tremendous asset to this community and really bring some new life and traffic to the area. So thank you for your work so far, and I'm looking forward to moving forward on this project.
Appreciate it. I actually believe people will move here and commute somewhere else.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Like he said, there's no other property in Jersey with this kind of amenity base and a mixed
Location.
use.
Which is good. I mean, the council, as well as the economic development team, planning board, have been looking for opportunities like this to increase our economic development, obviously, to help our tax base. So this is very exciting. We've worked really hard to get to this point of even having this presentation. There's a lot of properties, multiple properties on Route 130 that we have, a little bit trouble developing. But this is one that's unique because the township took it upon themselves to gain ownership, which gave us more options.
Correct.
So this one's a little bit different. I know a lot of people talk about the marketplace and other places down Route 130. The difference is we don't own them, so we, have to go through a process and try to work it out with the owner to get what we want. But this one, we took a great step, council. I'll pat ourselves on the back for that. A great step to get this moving, and I think a lot of people are going to be really excited. We've had a lot of residents wanting to move into condoms and wanting to downsize, wanting to stay in Willingboro, but have less responsibility for a full house. So hopefully we can get this moving. So thank you.
Sure. I'll second council's decision was a positive one to take control of this because, to be honest, even if this piece of land was offered to us by, someone who owned it, we wouldn't take that risk. It's purely because we see a partnership with the city to do this is why we're so interested.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I don't have anything
If
else.
they can stick around for a minute, maybe if people have, I'll open it up if people have any questions during agenda items. Okay, you can proceed.
So the agenda items being presented to you this evening for your consideration is ordinance number 24-30, which is the second hearing or the public hearing and possible final adoption. This ordinance is related to temporary signs in Willingboro and amending the chapter to authorize the placement of political signs no sooner than 14 days prior to an election or to an election day or any other scheduled election, and to increase the application fee to include a $100 refundable fee contingent upon the removal of the signs during the requisite period.
Can we be quiet in the crowd, please? Excuse me, we just need to be quiet while our manager's talking. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 24-31 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 150-7, which is the Department of Inspections fees. That is to introduce the political sign refundable deposit fee of $100. Ordinance number 24-32 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 136 related to donation clothing bins, requiring the clothing bins or the properties to be equipped with security cameras and transitioning the ownership or the responsibility of keeping those bins clean and free from litter and debris on the property owners and not just the owners of the bins. Resolution number 24-28 was a resolution that was previously tabled but handled through the governing body at the special meeting on Thursday. Resolution number 2024-306 is a resolution authorizing an award of contract for the purchase of automatic license plate recognition system cameras, LAPRs. This grant was awarded to the police department, I believe, last year. And this is just the execution of the contract agreement to move forward and purchase those cameras.
Just real quick, Mr. Harris, I think we're starting at 307.
Okay. So number 307 is a resolution to award the contract that I just explained. Thank you. Resolution number 308 is a resolution authorizing an award of contract for an electric plan review system, solutions related to services to improve township inspections and permits management software. A few years ago, the state kind of mandated that municipalities be able to receive plans digitally and process them digitally. We did move forward last year and purchase the equipment, the hardware for this, and they just finally finalized the software portion, and this is awarding a contract for that software. Resolution number 309 is the resolution authorizing Willingboro in-rem foreclosure action. These are on a few properties that are delinquent in their taxes. We have municipal liens on those properties, and we are going to execute those liens and foreclose on those properties. Resolution number 310 is a resolution extending the appointment of our municipal court judge. Resolution number 311 is authorizing the approval of vouchers for the payment of and ratification of bills. Resolution number 312 is a resolution certifying the qualified participant in the Length of Service Award Program, also known as LOSAP, for the Willingboro Township Volunteer Fire Department and First Aid Squad for the calendar year of 2023. For those who don't know, a few years ago, or maybe more about a decade, the state offered or put into a length of service award program for persons who volunteer in our emergency services. And each year we have to make a contribution into those program participants. And this is just authorizing that contribution. Resolution number 313 is a resolution enabling the township to receive funding for Mill Creek Park pickleball courts through the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Green Acres Program. We were awarded a grant for the pickleball courts. I believe it's $870,000, somewhere in that, 820,000. So we were awarding the grant, and this is the receiving of the monies and incorporating into our budget so we can go ahead and begin to spend on it. And resolution number 314 is very similar, but that was in relation to the Jake's Place, the Jake's Place inclusive playground also being constructed, and Mill Creek Park, and we received about $750,000 for that project as well. So those were what these two resolutions are in relation to. Resolution number 315 is authorizing a contract for the acquisition of authorizing an RFP for the acquisition of an affordable housing planner. In October, the DCA took over affordable housing instead of COA. They released to the municipality what our COA or affordable numbers are. We will be responsible for 16 rehabs, and I believe it's 77 new units over a 30-year period. So in 2025, there will be some processes that the governing body will have to go through in relation to this. And one of them is to acquire an affordable housing planner who is going to outline the plan for the township to go ahead and move forward with this project in compliance with the state's requirements. So affordable housing planners are few and far between. So we wanted to get a jump on finding the best affordable housing planner for Willingboro because there are 500 and some odd municipalities who are going to be seeking these type of services. So we're going to go ahead and put out an RFP looking for a good qualified affordable housing planner. Resolution number 316 is a resolution authorizing the township to award a contract for custodial services for all of our municipal buildings. Our custodial contract expired at the end of this year. We went out to bid for 2025, and we expanded the offerings to be inclusive of the library, the restrooms in our parks and our DPW facilities. Our cleaning company that we currently use was the lowest bidder at $478,000. Comparison to the next lowest bidder, which was at $738,000. So we're looking to award a contract to Leach Pristine Cleaning for the cleaning of our municipal properties. Resolution number 317 is a resolution authorizing a retail cannabis license to the Vault Dispensary LLC. And resolution number 318 is a resolution authorizing the planning board to conduct an area in need of redevelopment investigation for certain properties along the Route 130 corridor. We had actually passed this resolution prior. However, in review and after the fact, there were some blocks and lots that were left off of that resolution. So this is just a new version of that resolution, inclusive of those blocks and lots that were missed off of the prior resolution. And those are all of the items being presented to you this evening for your consideration.
Thank you. I'd like to open it up for public comment for agenda items only. You have 2 minutes. If you have anything, any comments or questions about any of the ordinances or resolutions, as well as any comments or questions concerning the Big D Marina. You have 2 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment is now open.
Good evening, Pat Lindsay Harvey, Medford Lane. I have a question, gentlemen. I have a fear, it looks very nice, but how affordable are these going to be? As the mayor is saying, that we have residents who want to move out of their big houses into a condo, and we've been crying about this for umpteen thousand years. But is it going to be affordable for them to sell their home and then buy a condo?
So we'll answer everything after we go through the whole public
Right.
comment.
What was my other question? I had another question. Shoot. Can't think of it now.
All right.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen
Good
of the
evening.
council. My name is Dustin Maggard. I live at 800 Hickory Avenue in Browns Mills. I am the vice chair of the South Jersey Libertarian Party. I am coming before you this evening with a very serious concern for the liberty of the residents of Willingboro. It was recently brought to our attention that Ordinance 297-10 subsection E requires that any entity who wishes to place a political sign during elections first file an application with the construction official. Further, that the council may wish to amend this ordinance to require that candidates submit a $100 deposit for the privilege of exercising their First Amendment rights. Indeed, the presence of this application and permitting process is such an egregious violation of the Constitution of this state that the township may expect to find itself subject to damaging and expensive litigation. The New Jersey Supreme Court has upheld on no uncertain terms that political speech is protected and restrictions on that speech must be subject to the highest scrutiny. In the interest of the fiscal responsibility that this council has to the residents of Willingboro, I implore that the council move to repeal this ordinance immediately. I cede any remaining time.
Thank you. Anyone online?
Yes, Mayor. Sarah?
Good evening. I haven't even said a word yet, and already you've taken 7 minutes of 7 seconds of my time. I'd like to reclaim my time, please. Reclaim my time. Thank you. My name is Sarah Holly. I reside at 9 Tioga Lane. That's Willingboro. So for the gentleman that gave the presentation on the Big D Marina, it looks very nice. However, my question has to do with the public-private partnership. Now, I need for someone to explain to me exactly what that means. Because if it means that the partnership will mean that someone is not paying taxes, that the township is supplementing this project. I have a problem with that. We don't need any more nonprofits in this town. These nonprofit organizations, they come to town and we ended up supplementing them because they take a building that we have paid taxes on for years and years and years, and all of a sudden it's a nonprofit organization and they're not paying any taxes. Where the rest of the residents, we have to pick up the slack for them not paying taxes. So I have a problem with nonprofits not paying taxes. My other concern has to do with Mr. Harris. You mentioned 2428, 24-28, but you did not explain what it was. So I'm going to need an explanation for that, please. And my last thing, could you please explain this new thing having to do with the Department of the Inspection? Somehow or other, I didn't quite understand your explanation of the that Department of Inspection. What are the changes and how does that impact the community? And the other questions, the new employees that you hired, will they be paying taxes here in Willingboro? And thank you so much for listening to my comments and my concerns.
Thank you, Ms. Holly.
Okay, Lana.
Hello, my comment is concerning the ordinances to amend the temporary political signs. Can everybody hear me? Yes?
Name
I'm,
and
yes, my name is Lana Lagia. I live at 249 US 206 Highway North in Stanhope, but I'm speaking to you, the council today, as VP of Political Affairs for the New Jersey Libertarian Party. For regulations on political signs to be constitutionally sound, it must not discriminate based on content and must have a justifiably compelling interest to regulate, and such regulation must be narrowly tailored to serve that interest, such as traffic safety. Willingboro Ordinance 297-10E2 states all political signs must be removed no later than 5 business days following the election involved. This imposes time limits on the posting of political signs, singling out political signs for restrictive treatment, therefore discriminating based on content. Willingboro Ordinance 297-10E3 states prior to the erection of political signs, a candidate or his or her agent shall file an application with the construction official and include the name of the candidate, the office the candidate is running, and the name of the address of the person who will be responsible. The arbitrary nature of the permit requirements, in addition to the authority given to the construction official to subjectively reject a request for a permit, is a clear violation of the First Amendment. The proposed amendment today to increase the political application fee to include a $100 refundable deposit is both discriminatory based on content, that being political content, and subjects any individual to unnecessary financial burden to access their fundamental right to speech and expression. The need for a permit may discourage individuals, candidates, and organizations from expressing their political perspective, leading to a disruption in a democratic process. The entirety of Willingboro's political sign ordinance, to include its time restriction, permit requirement, as well as its fee for the permit, is a violation of the First Amendment, and I respectfully suggest the council remove such ordinance and restore Willingboro's residents free speech and free expression. Thank you for listening.
thank you, Ms. Lana.
Okay, Martin Knock.
Good evening, council. I wish I had was aware of this, but I came to the meeting in person. I want to say, first of all, I think the presentation was outstanding. It has been a sore spot for me, even when I was mayor, to have that Big D Marina just sitting there as the entrance to Willingboro. I want to say to the two gentlemen that are invested in this, that the 80 condo units probably won't be enough, especially if you have some 55 and older. And so if there's a possibility of some of the rental areas being condos, I think just keep that in mind, because there is a tremendous demand for our residents to move out of their large homes into something smaller. And they say anything around the water keeps you living a little longer. So certainly the 55 and older would be interested in that. And anything that we can do, and I think probably the public-private partnership is actually the way to go, Ms. Holly. I heard you, but that firehouse should have been done with a public-private partnership in the beginning. And certainly, since the township now owns the land, which is, I have to say, thank you, council, because that was tough trying to get that. So I look forward to hearing more about the development. I look forward to being part of the process of trying to see how this can work the best for our residents over the next 5 to 10 years, I guess 7 years. I'm going to put a 7-year limit out there. And that's, really what I want to hear more about it. Now, will the presentation tonight be on the website? Will it be? Go ahead. I can't hear.
All right, we'll answer that when we do the answering all the
Well,
questions.
my time is up. I'll be back at the 4-minute mark.
Okay. Anyone else for public comment? Public comment for agenda items is now closed. We can have you talk about some of the questions or concerns that some of the residents brought up.
Sure. So I believe the first question was
Affordability.
affordability. So just truthfully, it is very, very early to even comment on that. And it's very much dependent on how this partnership with the city ends up getting structured and what the city's goals are. So if the city tells me, you know what, we want to have the rentals for, say 15% moderate income, 15% low income, whatever that ends up being. And that'll be fine with us as long as the funds are available from the various federal, state, city grants that we can layer on to actually build the building. So it becomes an exercise in modeling construction costs and seeing if the building is self-sustaining. So to that end, yes, it can be very, very affordable, but it's to be determined on exactly how much and in what scale with further discussions with the city. Next question is taxes. We are not a charity, so we do pay our own taxes. Not happy about it, but we pay it. What should be noted is once the buildings are done, they all pay their own taxes as well. The partnership is to build the buildings. Once they're done, the sales tax from the commercial tenants, all the business that transacts there, that's taxed. Taxes in the restaurant, on every meal served, etc., that's all tax that comes here. The property taxes get paid on the rental buildings. And of course, the condo owners will pay their own taxes. So I assure you, everyone is paying taxes one way or the other. The partnership is merely to complete the development. Next question. Okay, condo pricing. Again, very dependent on how many credits and grants are available to offset the real cost of construction will determine what they can be sold for. But one thing to note is, depending on how much we can structure it with the federal grants, I'll give an example. It's a project that was done over the East Orange train station called Link. Brand new modern building, very nice. But that building is actually 100% affordable. And they were able to stack a lot of state and federal low-income housing tax credits, which allowed them to build it in a subsidized manner to sell it for less than construction cost. So whether the whole building or a portion of the building can be funded in that way, not whether it can be. So that is something we're going to explore together with the city on in what capacity we can do that. And then, you know, if that's 80 condos, let's say 40 of them can be sold for 250, whatever that number ends up being. It depends on the federal numbers too, right? Then that is what they will be sold for. But once we get deeper into it and we're able to comment on that, we certainly will. I'm sure there'll be many more public meetings regarding that fact, but just very early to comment. But just know that there is precedent for it, and depending on what the city tells us they want, you know, we will endeavor to deliver that.
Just to add on to that, a lot of residents who have expressed interest in buying a condos were willing to sell their house. I mean, that's where the cost will kind of equate. Because I know that condos aren't cheap now, but it's still, even with it not being the cheapest option, a lot of residents are aware of that. But we do want to, you know, balance the affordability, obviously.
Exactly. You know, it has to be economically viable.
Right.
To build those type of condos, you saw those finishes, those big balconies, those water views. You want that, you know, that is not cheap to build, right? Let's say a placeholder number based on my last development to build each condo, just to build it, would be 300,000. So you can imagine what it has to be sold for, right, after accounting for all costs. To give you an example, the comp I put there from Bristol, PA, not even 10% as nice as this or the location. I mean, it is on the Delaware River, right? But they're selling for 510,000, right? So there and this is the exercise, we'll run through it over the next year with the city as we plan this out. You know, there will be a number of condos sold at full market value to basically make the building work economically, and then we layer in and we work backwards on how many credits can we get from federal, state, right? So now how much can we reduce that cost, and how much can we sell this block of condos for? Can we sell this block of condos for 200,000? If that's the case, sure, right? Because then the government federally is subsidizing it, and that's how Link and a lot of these other urban projects are done these days, especially with this higher cost of construction.
And then, Mr. Harris, can you just offer a short explanation about public-private partnerships, and that this project is not a nonprofit project per se?
Yes, Mayor, public-private partnerships are opportunities for government agencies to collaborate with private entities, which enable us to partner with them and utilize them to help build a project, raise funding for the project, potentially operate the project depending on what the goal or the objective of the township is. It was not my understanding that we were just looking for a developer to give this land to and give it away and let them do what they want. They were developing this on behalf of Willingboro Township, and it will be our properties, our projects. However, we will just be partnering with them to help raise the funds, develop the project, and move it into its final stages outside of regular public mechanisms like contracting, and those things will still need to be done, but on a different, higher level.
Okay. Thank you. And will this presentation be available for the public?
Yes, we will make this presentation available on the website, and I believe Sean will correct me if I'm wrong, the video as well could be accessible.
Okay. And can we move on to Mr. Dustin and Ms. Lana, their concerns about ordinance? Sorry.
So it is not really the township's intention to, I'm sorry,
Oh, thank you.
to stifle political speech in Willingboro Township. But there is New Jersey legislation that does prohibit the display of political campaign signs on public property. And those are the signs that we are talking about. If anybody wants to place a political sign on public property, for example, at the JFK Center, they would be required to obtain a permit. There would be limitations on them placing those signs prior to and after an election. And they would also be required to collect those signs after the period. What's happening is they come, they place the signs, and they leave them there. And then DPW is tasked with going, collecting up these signs, disposing of the signs. And our intent is not to prohibit or restrict anyone from political speech. In general, we are just talking about regulating the placement of political signs on public property, which is not free and nilly-willy. But we'll refer that to our legal counsel to flush out in the end anyway.
Mr. Harris does refer to statutes that are in place as far as regulating signs that are on public property specifically, so the township property, which, one other note for this ordinance, based on what Mr. Harris has presented, is that it's an amendment to the existing regulations that the township does have code provisions for regarding political signs on township property specifically.
All right, thank you. Also, Ms. Holly just wanted some clarification on the Department of Inspections model, the impact. I guess you did the restructuring last. Do you have anything to clarify for the inspections department?
Don't know if I captured her full question.
Okay.
But the difference between what was presented and what we have now is a couple different components that were included. We were, actually, if you look at the code right now, there's a lot of things that the code is missing in terms of the way that we operate. So right now, if you look at the code for the Department of Inspections, the code official is the head of that department. We don't operate that way, whereas the ordinance that was introduced at the last meeting kind of set the structure of what the Department of Community Development would look for. It puts in place a department director. It also puts in place the division for uniform construction code. It segments our housing component, it segments the rental resale component, and then also it adds in the economic development portion. All of the things that are not currently included in our code.
But I think Ms. Holly was referring to ordinance number 31, which related to the Department of Inspections fees, where we were reestablishing the fee ordinance to include.
Oh, okay, thank you.
To include the $100, application fee for the signs.
I have 288. The.
Right, she also did reference 24,288, and I did kind of cross over that very swiftly because that was a matter related to the transfers from the different departments that was discussed. But again, that was resolved at a special meeting on Thursday.
She also wanted to know if the two people were going to be paying taxes.
Yeah, I wasn't done. Yep, I have that next.
Okay.
Yep, and in terms of the two new employees, her question was, will they be paying taxes in Willingboro?
If they move into Willingboro and have a property tax paying property, they will be.
What? What did you say? If they move?
If they move into Willingboro and have a property
It's not
tax
required. It's not
liability.
Requirement.
It's not a requirement.
Right. I live in Willingboro. I don't pay property taxes. I pay rent.
Right. Right, well, okay,
BMI.
right.
I'll put all your business out.
You can proceed with the ordinances.
All right, so, for ordinances tonight, we don't have any for introduction, but we have 3 for public hearing and final adoption. Our first one is ordinance, 2020, 2024-30, I'd like to open the public hearing for ordinance 2024-30 titled Ordinance to Amend Chapter 297-10 Temporary Signs, the Code of the Township of Willingboro, amending the chapter to authorize the placement of political signs no sooner than 14 days before the primary elections, election day, or any other scheduled election, and to increase the political application fee to include a refundable $100. Anyone wishing to come forward to comment on this ordinance, please do so. Anyone online?
Just make sure online, ask them.
Is anyone online, like to speak on this ordinance?
Not at this moment.
Seeing none, I'd like to close public comment on this ordinance. May I get a motion and second to finally adopt ordinance 2024-30?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Whitfield. Any further discussion? I do want to just say, like, as Mr. Harris said, this is not for the reason to prohibit people's freedom of speech. This is definitely for some of the stuff that we have to do to pick them up, because people do not pick up their signs. And it does take away from our services picking up these signs after people leave them. The $100 is refundable, so that is, that's not to try to dissuade anyone from putting signs down. All right, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
No.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Thank you. Right, the next ordinance I have for, you guys is ordinance 2024-31. I'd like to open the public comment for ordinance 2024-31 titled Ordinance to Amend Chapter 150-7 Departments of Inspection Fees of the Code of the Township of Willingboro to introduce the political sign refundable deposit fee of $100. Anyone wishing to come forward to comment on this ordinance, please do so. Anyone online?
Not at this moment.
Seeing none, I'd like to close public comment on this ordinance. May I get a motion and a second to finally adopt ordinance 2024-31?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Whitfield. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
No.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Thank you. And finally, I have ordinance 2024-32. I'd like to open the public hearing for ordinance 2024-32 titled Ordinance to Amend Chapter 136 Donation Clothing Bins, requiring clothing bins to be equipped with security cameras and property owner responsibilities. Anyone wishing to come forward to comment on this ordinance, please do so. Anyone online?
Not at this moment.
Seeing none, I'd like to close public comment on this ordinance. May I get a motion and second to finally adopt ordinance 2024-32?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any resolutions we would like to remove from a consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Resolution 316 and 317.
Okay. Any other ones?
315 for me.
315.
Same.
Same thing? Okay. I make a motion for a consent agenda of resolution 2024-307 through 314 and 2020, well, and that's it. I want to keep the other one out. So I make a motion.
Second.
307, 308.
Yeah. 307. I make a resolution for a consent agenda for 2024-307 308, 309, 310, 311, 312, 313, 314.
Second?
Moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Councilwoman Whitfield.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve the same.
Second?
Moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Councilwoman Whitfield. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll start resolution 315.
So resolutions up for separate discussion. We have resolution 2024-315, resolution authorizing use of competitive contracting for the acquisition of an affordable housing plan. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Perone.
Yes.
Discussion, please. Dr. Worthy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just curious, what the distinction was to have this separation of an affordable housing planner separate from our township planner, and if any consideration has been made that our township planner may be able to cover this scope of work. So I wasn't clear on that, Ms. Ayers.
So we have Affordable Housing Council that we work with in these matters. And they believe that affordable housing planners just have a certain expertise, not readily incorporated with the development, regular planning. However, that doesn't mean that our planner could not be an affordable housing planner as well. So if our planner is able to do affordable housing, then they would be able to respond to the RFP. But this was just for a select, I don't say select, a defined discipline.
I understand what you said, but I'm not correlating it back to my question. I'll be a little bit more clear. Did we talk to our township planner to find out if they had the capacity to serve as an affordable housing planner for Willingboro?
We have not specifically spoken to our planner.
Okay.
And again, in conversation with our affordable housing attorney, they aren't really familiar with who our planner is. So their recommendation is that we put out an RFP for an affordable housing planner. We could share that RFP with our planner and see if they are able to meet the requirements of the planning. And if they are, there's no reason why we couldn't utilize them.
Okay, it just seems premature to me to put the RFQ out before having the discussion, if we already have a professional on board, especially since we're going to be appointing a township planner in less than 30 days. Thank you for your response.
No, I agree. We do have a planner of record that has been contracted by the township. We don't use their planning services a tremendous amount throughout the year. I know many of our projects fall under the engineering scope of work, but I am interested. I remember that one of the reasons why we picked our planner was because they did have a number of different specialties under their belt. So I would be interested to see if they do have an affordable housing planner that would save us time and resources in having to go through the RFP process if we could use our planner of record.
Any other discussion?
Yes. So in conversations with Mr. Harris related to this position, it was stated that because they are far and few in between, that if we did the RFQ, we didn't necessarily have to select if we were able to find those services in-house. But the fact is, we put it out there, it's already out there, and that's one less step we have to do to save time. But it wasn't, just because we put it out, we don't have to select. So if someone within our pool that will be coming up in 2025 does have those services, we don't need to select. But in the event they do, we already have one. So that was his reasoning to the mayor and myself.
Right, and for me, it just seems, I would agree, it seems a little bit premature that we can probably just ask this and incorporate it into our planner. And and you said it was how many years that we had to?
30.
30?
If we meet the requirements of COA, we will be protected under their protections for 30 years. But we have to, develop the plan and how we're going to meet our affordable housing requirements.
By when?
That is the date I don't know yet.
Because, I mean, part of my concern is since it just got put under the DCA, they're still gonna, we tend to do some things, some research and a lot of doing resolutions and coming up with plans prior to it being settled within the authority that is presenting it. So it would seem that we would be okay holding off a little bit since it's newly, you said it's newly been put under the DCA
Back in, earlier in this year.
earlier this year.
So they released the numbers back in October, and I do believe that in just January or February of this year, the council is going to be required to accept those numbers or fight those numbers.
Right.
And again, these are conversations, and I'll have him maybe come in and do a presentation. I don't know what his availability is. And he will lay out what the municipalities' responsibilities are in the upcoming month.
Mhm.
But, just the thought was, well, we don't know how it's going to shake out.
Right.
And again, he is very familiar with a limited number of affordable housing planners. So his recommendation was put your net out there, catch your fish before everybody goes fishing.
Right. And there is a lot of turmoil in the state right now concerning those numbers, and a lot of municipalities are fighting those numbers. And Willingboro also is one of those communities that has a limited amount of, we have a lot of houses, but a limited amount of new housing development, possibly, even with the one we just, presented. It's still not a lot.
Right.
So I mean, I'll leave it to the will of council whether to go forward. I think it's a little premature.
And that's fine.
Okay.
Again, these were just recommendations and if you don't feel that you're ready to do that, make this move, that's fine.
But I would appreciate you if you keep it on our radar.
Yes.
If it doesn't go through, just keep it on our radar. If something changes and we have to rush and do it.
Absolutely.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Yeah, somebody said you need to speak into the mic.
Sorry, Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
No.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
No.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
No.
Mayor McIntosh.
No.
All right, the next resolution for separate discussion is Resolution 2024-316, resolution authorizing the Township of Willingboro to award contract for custodial services contract for the Willingboro Township buildings.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Discussion. Yes.
Yes, so I had the opportunity to review the bid that was submitted. I didn't receive, I understand there were two bids that were submitted, and the Lee's Pristine happened to be the lowest bidder. However, I would have liked to see the other bid regardless if they were the lowest bidder. This way I could see one, who applied and how low of a bid were they. That's one thing. But secondarily, what I did was review the documents that were provided in the bid. And I have huge concerns and discrepancies with what was submitted, whereby the address of the business is 55 Torrington Lane in Willingboro. First, that address has a delinquent of $1,669 in the water utilities of not paid bills. They have not paid the water bill all year. The last recollection of a bill was in January of 2024, and that's as far as the computer goes, but I'm pretty sure they've not paid in 2023 either. Next concern, the owner of this property, of this business, is Ashley Castro. At least that's what was submitted in the bid of the W-9, Ashley Castro. However, when I looked up the business ID on the state of New Jersey, it says there was not a certificate issued under the number provided. The number that I entered was off of the document that was submitted in the bid. It looks like this. It says State of New Jersey Business Registration Certificate. This does not have a gold seal, which it indicates if a true certificate was issued, it should have a gold seal. This looks more like somebody created it on a computer and fabricated their own certification. So I would like for our legal department to further investigate, and I will give you all of the documents that I found online. I am on the New Jersey State website. I'm not making this up. In addition to, I looked up the business ID number. And for Lee's Pristine, a different address comes up. The address that comes up is 15 Garland Lane in Willingboro, not 55 Torrington Lane. So all of the documents that she submitted says 1555 Torrington Lane. And the actual owner of 55 Torrington Lane is a business owner by the name of 1401 Nortonham Way LLC. This business address is located in 57 Coach Lap Lane, Doring, Connecticut, zip code 06820. So the bid is completely messy. And it doesn't add up to what was submitted. So I am not comfortable with voting for this business until we get actual sealed documents that are supposed to be submitted to provide their tax ID number. Because as I said, I do have the tax ID number. The tax ID number is under Lee's Pristine LLC is 450743312. That tax ID number is associated with 15 Garland Lane. That is not what she submitted on her bid. Therefore, the bid that she submitted is faulty because it's not the address associated with that tax ID number. And the tax ID number is the tax ID number that's going to be associated with what? The taxes that's going to be paid out. So for us to go into business, as far as the council awarding this bid, we must make sure the tax ID matches the business address. And in addition to, the business address does not owe us money on any of our bills, such as our taxes or our water bills. So Lee's Pristine, this bid, it's not clean. It's not clean. And I'm gonna need the solicitor to pull the proper records, or maybe Mr. Harris. Like I said, I pulled it up. Somebody created these certifications, and the addresses don't add up with the tax ID numbers. So that's why I wanted to pull this, because it's not clean. Doesn't match up to what's the tax ID number. Miss Maggie, did you have a time to review this bid or no?
So I reviewed the bid packets and the bid documents. The bid documents, everything submitted is in compliance with the requirements of the state of New Jersey. I don't know what that certificate that you're referring to, but if you're holding up that is exactly what a New Jersey business registration certificate looks like.
So
So
it's not, okay.
So what you're referring to with a gold seal, I don't know what you're referring to because
here.
that's not, business registration certificates don't have gold seals on them. They register, they print it out right from their computer. So they're not gold sealed. So I don't know what you're referring to there.
Okay,
But all the documents that were submitted were in compliance with the bid requirements and meet the satisfaction, the standard.
Okay, so on in this application, the tax ID number that was submitted is not 55 Torrington Lane. So that's improper. The tax ID number that's listed is not the correct tax ID number that's listed with the state of New Jersey. The tax ID number is the one that I just pulled up the state for Lee's Pristine. So, and it's not that address. It's 15
But you said the tax number was associated to Lee's Pristine.
No, it's associated with Lee's Pristine, 15 Garland Lane, another address.
But the address is not relevant.
It is the business address is a part of our bid process. So when you submit a bid, you submit your business, location, everything,
So-
everything that we require.
So I have a social security number, which is similar to a tax ID number.
Mhm.
I move.
Right.
So my social security number is attached to me, just as the tax ID number is attached to the business, not the address.
Here's the issue, because if there's issues with the state of New Jersey taxation, that's why they moved their address. So what I'm saying is that the tax ID number is supposed to be associated with that business. So the tax ID number is not associated with this, what she submitted. What she submitted is not the tax ID number that she submitted, the correct one. So she lied on the application. She gave a different number.
Oh, I would be very careful of saying
I'm
things like
I'm
that on
saying it
public
because
because
I'm reading it. I'm reading it.
and I respect that councilwoman, but you're making allegations
I'm not
that,
making allegations if I'm reading it. I read the number to you. That is the number that's listed here.
okay.
Lee's Pristine is a New Jersey domestic liability company filed with, on December 20th, 2021. The company's file status is active under the number 450743312. What she submitted was 874070488 under 55 Torrington Lane.
That's a W-9 that
Well,
you,
everything,
that's what
all
you're
of
putting
the
up, a W-9?
documents, all of the documents say 55 Torrington Lane, and it doesn't say the proper tax ID number. So again, I'm not gonna belabor this.
Okay.
I've let the solicitor know, I've let the council know. The tax ID number does not match what was submitted. This bid is faulty.
For clarification of council, Mr. Harris did ask me to review the bids in question. As far as the requirements under local public contracts law, the bid that was submitted is compliant with local public contracts law. And Mr. Harris made a recommendation following the review of solicitor's office to go with the lowest responsible bidder, in accordance with the requirements under local public
Can you
contracts
tell me
law.
this tax ID number for Lee's Pristine, ma'am?
Off the top of my head, no.
Because here's the document. Want to look it up and let me know if it's in here? It's not here. So I didn't need you to repeat what Mr. Harris already said, because I already know the reason why the application is before us is because he reviewed it and so did you. But I know that they owe us $1,668 on our water bill, okay? That's one fact. Fact number two, they did not provide the correct tax ID number. I am not making it up. I'm reading it off of the state of New Jersey's website. It's not a Google site, it's a state website. This number is not a part of any of these 55 pages that she submitted that both of you reviewed and said it's good to go, because it's not good to go. So if you don't have it, Miss Maggie, if you don't have the tax ID number that's showing on the state of New Jersey that does not match this, then you didn't do a good job either, because you should have caught that too. Thank you.
Just to be sure, this was compliant with.
It's not compliant. The wrong tax ID number is not listed here.
All right, Ms.
We got that?
Okay, we have the
Stop saying
floor.
compliant.
Councilwoman Perone, you don't have the floor.
Under review of local public contracts law, that my statement of my review was that it's compliant with local public contracts law. Yes.
The tax ID is not correct. It's not
Which
compliant.
is what is needed to make a decision.
They did not submit the
Correct.
correct tax ID.
All right, roll call, please.
No.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so the next resolution I have for separate discussion is Resolution 2024-317, resolution authorizing a retail cannabis license to the Vault Dispensary LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Discussion, please.
Discussion.
Go ahead.
So I see that we have here another application for cannabis license.
It's the same one we were talking about before.
So the other one we talked about was changing the hours that
Correct.
they wanted to.
That was the ordinance.
Yeah, that was the full ordinance.
So this is relating to the same topic of the time.
No.
No.
This is another company.
Mhm.
That's what I'm, right.
Yes, correct.
So, right, so I'm thinking about the new, why do we need another dispensary? And I understand that we had one more, this is the one more license that we have left, right?
Correct. Yes.
So I also understand that within the last, year and a half, we've, I think, issued, I want to say about 3 licenses already, or was it 2?
One.
One, okay, 1 license? I thought there was 2 issued.
No.
There's 2 available
Oh, 2
in
available.
total.
Okay, that's.
And
okay.
so we only issued 1. And then this was brought before council a number of months ago for this is the Wells Fargo one. that-
Okay,
Yeah, so this will be the second
This-
one, and this is the limit.
this is the Vault dispensary.
Yes.
Right, okay, so what is the immediate rush? Like, have we seen the benefits, the purpose of what we already have with the current cannabis company? I mean, when we we do still have, I think, one more left, liquor licenses, we were rushed to sell the licenses and then later learned that, one, we didn't get the better bang for the buck. Okay, so if you only have 2, why not just wait a bit to see what the return on investment is? How does it look in Willingboro? Is it good for our community? Community-wise or even financially, give it a couple of years. Like, what is why do we have to do this right now? Why is it such an immediate rush to sell all the licenses right now? That's a question to the council. Like, I don't understand what's the purpose. Like, why do we have to sell them all right now? You only have 2, like, just wait 3 years. So what was the return on the investment? What did you see that's the benefit of having the one we currently have? Why do you want another one? Since we have one already, what's the benefit? Why we have to just, let's do another one all of a sudden? Why? What's the big rush? Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. I understand Councilwoman Peron's question. I don't agree that there's been a rush on this issue. We passed this cannabis ordinance back in 2021, I believe. So it's been quite a few years since we have been able to attract companies that are interested in making Willingboro their home, as well as in the locations in the proper areas that were zoned for cannabis use. I'd also like to point out that there are a number of other licenses or licenses available. We only had 2 retail licenses, but there are a number of other licenses that are available for cultivation in other areas in the cannabis business. So I think that adding another one, considering the market for this at the moment, markets ebb and flow, and I think we should take advantage of the market while it is hot. And if there comes a time when it is no longer a hot item, then those businesses will no longer be here. But I do not think that it would be a wise decision to allow this opportunity to slip away from us while all of our neighbors are reaping the benefits of dispensaries in their towns. That's all I have, Mayor.
And I just wanted to add also, even when we passed the ordinance for cannabis, we were mindful not to inundate the town with a whole lot of cannabis, so that's why we have
I don't
2
think your mic is
licenses.
on.
2 licenses.
I don't think her
I'm
mic is
sorry,
on.
thank you. We had 2 licenses at the time, which we could have filled at the beginning. We could have chosen 2 cannabis retail dispensaries that first time, but council made a decision to wait, hold up. Now, like you said, it was a couple of years ago. So I don't think we're rushing it. Just being mindful, we have an opportunity in the middle of Route 130, closer to the central Route 130. It's a matter of if if you agree or don't agree, and it's okay. But I don't think it's fair to say we rushed into a decision. I think we've been very mindful on gauging it. We were concerned whether cannabis would cause violence, cause disruption in our town, and it hasn't. And I think Captain Bucks can co-sign on that. We've had no incidents over at our first one. So we did take the time to gauge, I'll say the outward safety, for the town. So now this is just another opportunity, and maybe you don't agree, which is fine, but it's just another opportunity for some retail in Willingboro. It is a market, whether you do it, I don't do it, but it is a market. So
I just wanted to know what the benefits were. I didn't hear it from either one of you yet. What is the benefits behind the one we currently have? What was the benefits behind it?
you have the finance. I didn't ask since you see for the exact numbers.
I don't have the exact numbers that we have collected tax revenue from the current facility, but I can obtain them from our tax collector tomorrow.
Okay.
And the taxes is just like any other, like your taxes are your taxes for the whole year. It's not like it's depending on how much.
It is.
Okay, so that's what I mean. Again, I don't see, what are the benefits? But okay, that's my question to the council. Why are you
Deputy
looking?
Mayor.
Do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, just to piggyback off my colleagues, on that Route 130 corridor, as many of you may know, Wells Fargo has left us. So right now, it's a vacant building. It's an opportunity for economic development. And that's all we're trying to do is create opportunities that will allow us to assist our taxpayers. So if we don't make a move and do nothing with assets that we have, other communities are stacking up. Delran, I believe, has 4 or 5 entities there. So once again, we're just trying to do what's best for the community. This is an opportunity that was created back in 2021. When we handed out the first license, we waited because we had about 3 or 4 applicants, and we said, no, let's give it an opportunity to wait to see how it goes. We've had no incidences as been reported. And once again, we will now, without this opportunity, we'll have another vacant building sitting on that Route 130 corridor. So I think it just gives us an opportunity to assist with economic development and don't have another eyesore.
Dr. Worthy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also wanted to add, banks in particular are a place that cannabis dispensaries seek out former banks, particularly because of the safe that is built in, the configuration of the buildings and things like that. And so because we do have a building that is vacant and we do want to have economic development in that space, it does make for more of a seamless transition into fulfilling this space. Other businesses typically don't want to be encumbered with the removal of the safe because that can be very costly, and it's a small footprint, so it's not ideal for like a restaurant or a convenience store. It's just not enough space. So in that regard, it's just another way to be able to use an existing building to meet some of the wishes of residents of Willingboro and those who come from other communities to Willingboro. So that's what I wanted to add on that subject. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Worthy. Councilwoman Whitfield?
Thank you, Mayor. I also wanted to add in terms of benefits, in our, state regulated and in our ordinance, cannabis dispensaries are mandated to pay a 2% tax on revenue in addition to their property taxes, which does help our township and our taxpayers try to offset some of the costs on that. As the mayor said, we were hesitant in granting both retail licenses for fear of increased violence, but that has shown not to happen. And I think we were very thoughtful and metered in the way that we have been distributing these licenses. And I look forward to welcoming a new business, bolstering our economic position here in Willingboro.
last comment.
Yes.
Again, you can vote how you want. I find that there are other businesses that we could bring into Willingboro other than smoke shops. I feel like we don't need to be the dollar store smoke shop community. We are far more educated than that here. We're a middle-class community. So for me, it's a no. We don't even have the numbers here. Nobody has the numbers here to even vote to say, look how much we made. You just want to vote for it just to do it because you think it's fun. And I find that we're not advertising ourselves enough in our local areas to bring businesses here. But as far as I'm concerned, we could do better than just another smoke shop. So that's all I have to say. But thank you for your feedback.
What I will add, and what I think it's messed up that you say we're just thoughtlessly.
I didn't say thoughtlessly.
You said we think it's fun.
Yeah,
That's thoughtless.
You think it's fun.
Okay, it's not fun. But this team has been working extremely hard. And I take that. That's messed up. You say that. We've been working extremely hard. The Economic Development Committee has been working extremely hard trying to get businesses here. You like to come on, the record and poo-poo everything, but you don't add anything. You don't add any ideas or anything. Like, because you could be harnessing some economic development also to help out, but we have been doing it. We've been going to a lot of events trying to harness it, trying to get food, trying to get a lot of different things in Willingboro. Cannabis is but one aspect of economic development. We did not want the whole Route 130 cannabis, so it's 2 licenses. That's it. It's over. That's done. I think that was a right move by council. But this council and a lot of our committees work very hard to try to garner economic development. So this is not a fun or mindless vote. It's very deliberate. It's one section, it's the bank, as Dr. Worthy said. The cannabis businesses do like to go towards the banks for the vault component of it for their, safety of their stock. But we can disagree whether you want to hear or not. That's fine. I have no problem. But to say that we're just voting for fun, I think it's a little disingenuous, and you might want to rethink that statement.
I did recommend having marketing campaigns for our local businesses that are vacant, commercial marketing, letting communities know what we have available, giving them a marketing presentation, like a commercial that you advertise. Look, first come, first up, something, a marketing campaign. You did not do it. I suggested that. Number 2, the reason why I said you think it's fun is because you don't have numbers today. If you just said, look, we made $80,000 in I'm just pulling a number because we don't have it. So if you're going to vote yes and you don't have the numbers, then you're doing it just because it's fun. But you're not doing it because you're
Roll
making
call,
a
please.
business mind.
Councilwoman Perone,
No.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, and then the last resolution I have for separate discussion is Resolution 2024-318. I can read the whole resolution by title.
No, just I make a motion. I want to do discussion. Huh?
I can read it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Resolution authorizing the planning board to conduct an area in need of redevelopment investigations of certain properties identified in the township tax records as Block 2, Lot 7.01, Block 5.01, Lot 3, Block 5.01, Lot 3, Block 5.01, Lot 2, Block 15, Lot 1, Block 5.02, Lot 8, 9, 10, 11, and 17, and Block 11.01, Lot 14 on the township tax maps to determine whether the planning board finds that the properties satisfy the local redevelopment and housing law in need criteria and should be declared a condemnation redevelopment area, and if so, commence with the preparation of a redevelopment plan. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson and seconded by Councilwoman Perone. Discussion. With this, we did bring this in front of the planning board. I just want to make sure we have all the blocks on this one. And Councilwoman Whitfield, if you can help me recollect, I don't know if I want to say the BCT area, was that part of discussion or? Was, right, okay.
Yes, that was part of the discussion on the planning board.
Mhm.
Only one of the lots were included in the former resolution. So this one encompasses that entire lot.
That's for woman. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was for, okay, but we also had the block area for BC, and I don't know if that's included in this. It is include, are we included, so you included everything? You're supposed, okay, and that's all I had. Any other discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Thank you. And I believe that is all the resolutions that I have
Yes.
for separate discussion.
Yeah, so we can go into the approval of minutes.
Can I get a motion and a second to approve the December 3rd regular and executive session closed minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Whitfield. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Abstain.
Thank you. All right, and then for my clerk updates, I pulled together some statistics from the year for just intake of what the clerk's office has taken in throughout the year. So to date, the clerk's office has fielded 803 OPA requests. We issued 343 dog licenses. That doesn't mean there's only 343 dogs licensed in town. It just means some of them have 3-year licenses and some have 1.
Okay.
So don't worry. 158 mercantile license, 29 200-foot lists, 10 solicitor licenses within 4 different companies, 1 new cannabis license if passed tonight, 3 liquor licenses, and that is 1 club license and 2 plenary retail licenses. That's including the new Rancocas license. 3 raffle licenses, 1 bingo license, and 706 no-knock stickers. Okay, and then boards and commissions. It's not too late to apply to be on a board and commission. Council is always looking for dedicated residents to better the community. I did put more applications in the back along with a little blurb about each board and commission to see if you might be interested in any. And then important dates coming up. We have our reorg meeting Tuesday, January 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the Kennedy Center. And the rabies clinic will be held Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025 from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the fire department. If you do plan on getting your actual dog license there, we will not be taking cash, so please only bring checks or money orders. And that's all I got.
A credit card, just check some money orders.
Checks and money orders only. You're not that
Okay.
full yet.
All right, and boards and commissions will be posted online.
Boards and commissions are posted online.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all updated on the site, so you can submit it online as well.
Okay. Any other questions for the clerk update? All right, thank you. Moving on to unfinished business. Do we have a restructure update? No. Okay.
Madam
Yes,
Mayor.
I'm sorry. Go
Just
ahead.
as it relates to the restructure update. At the last meeting, we had an opportunity to hear the union rep on behalf of the ASME employees. I know since then, Mr. Harris, Mr. Lowry has been having meetings with each and every department. In speaking with Mr. Harris, what will happen at the beginning of the year, there were questions that were asked. He will flush them out again at the beginning of the year with 2 council members present. We just want to make sure that this rollout is what was expected of the council and the administration together, so there's no confusion. We don't want anyone coming back saying they didn't have a voice, nothing of that nature. So we will make sure Mr. Harris and 2 members of council will be participating in the final rollout prior to it coming back to us to support or decline that ordinance.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Also, under old business, I see it's under new business, but it should be old business. The end of 2023, the council had talked about looking at changing the form of government. The beginning of the year, roughly January or February, the solicitor put documentation together, but it kind of sat idle. So now we're bringing it back to the table so that in 2025, we can revisit this to see what it would look like. And just for clarification, we cannot change government. The only thing we can do is tee it up for referendum. It's you, the residents, who will be able to go to the ballots in November and vote whether you want to change the form of government. Only thing we're doing is looking at teeing it up to give you that opportunity. So that's something we will further explore in 2025. Thank you.
And to add it to that, I think that's something our residents need to be a little bit more educated on, also in terms of the options and the form of government that we have now. So we should probably bank on doing some educational
Town hall.
yeah, town halls, some media, something of that nature. Okay, anything else for unfinished business? All right, moving on to new business. We have two of our committees here, give the end of the year report. We'll start with the Environmental Commission.
All right, I'm going to try to do this from my phone. I usually don't read anything this small. Okay, so this year, the Environmental Commission, we attended 3 conferences and got some really wonderful information to share with council this evening. At the Watershed Forum, there was a lot of emphasis on local impact on climate change, something that folks really don't take seriously. That was one of the things they talked about. And stress having municipalities find ways to reduce their contribution to climate change and to prepare their municipalities for the results of climate change. Sustainability and environmental justice were 2 other topics that were spoken about that day. And they stressed getting the government, private sector, and residents on board and working together. There was a really great presentation by the city of Bethlehem, and they've created what they call a climate action plan. I'll be sending a copy of that with this report to Mr. Harris for the council. It's something that we may look at doing is to prepare a climate action plan. And it talks about, preparing the township for the changes that is happening with the climate and going forward. The mayor also mentioned that they are doing an urban water project, which is a national program under environmental justice. Again, and that may be something we want to look at. He mentioned they are having meetings once per year with all their boards and commissions, and they have all the boards and commissions. There's one day where they all report out everything they've done for the whole year, and residents ask questions, and it kind of perks the interest of residents to want to join the board or commission. Another workshop we went to was on collaboration. They talked about collaborations between agencies and private sectors. And the last speaker at that one talked about diversity being a priority. What has happened is that many of the state boards don't have many African Americans as chairs. So they're working very hard to change that. That Virginia has the first Black woman in the history of Virginia in charge of fish and game. The second conference we attended was the NJAC Environmental Congress. The first week workshop was on PFAS, one of my favorite topics. The speaker talked about different mediums that are being used currently, and there are some mediums that are under experimental. Right now, there's just ion exchange and the GAC system to remove PFAS. But the problem with those 2 is that what do you now do with the aftermath of once you get it out of your water? What do you do with it? Another workshop was on flooding. The speaker said that New Jersey is fortunate that we have lots of water, and so far we're not in a situation where where water is a crisis. Another workshop was engagement for environmental commissions, where a lot of the communities were talking about the fact that they're having the similar problem that we are, that there's not enough residents or volunteering for these boards and commissions. So in some communities, what they've done, they've consolidated those boards, and other ones have said what they found has worked even better, that they're keeping their boards, but they're meeting together. And what I found is that the Environmental Commission, the Green Team, and the New Jersey, and the Shade Tree Commission, there are some overlaps. So if we were to meet together, there's some things that we can do together, and we just would have more people doing it. The last one, and this one I enjoyed more than all the rest, and that was the New Jersey Shade Tree Conference, and this was their 99th commission. It gave me, and this is the third year I've attended, a real new appreciation of trees. I know it sounds funny, but I have a real good appreciation of trees. And I'll tell you the benefits of trees. Trees benefit wildlife. They provide us with oxygen, increase our property values, clean our drinking water, reduce noise, reduce crime, help clean our air with a process that it takes carbon out of the air, helps reduce stormwater runoff and mitigate flooding, contribute to our health, reduce the effects of climate change, help us save energy, and provides cooling because trees provide a canopy. And they can reduce the heat by 7 degrees by having trees. And I'm also in that report, I'm going to give you a list. They gave a list of trees that would be good to plant in New Jersey. There are some native trees that no longer are good to plant here because of climate change. We have the ash tree, which they really need to come down because they're diseased and they could fall at any time. On Garland Lane, there is and I can't remember the name of the first part of it, but it's a type of locust tree. It is probably the only street in Willingboro that has that tree, and they're all diseased, and they need to go. Again, they mentioned that every municipality should have a tree arborist, that every tree that we have in town should be inventoried. And what else I want to tell you? Oh, if you notice that when developers buy our properties, they take down every tree, every shrub, every flower. Now, they've now created an issue that we have more storm runoff because there's nothing to soak up that water. So my suggestion is that I know when you sell a property, it has to be inspected, that the inspectors make sure that these developers are getting their permit to take down the trees. And I would guarantee they probably have not. And they should be planting another tree to replace that tree. And I would suggest you also maybe suggest that they put in rain gardens, because we're going to now have those properties that don't have any kind of vegetation. We're going to now have more stormwater runoff. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions before you leave? Any questions for Environmental Commission, Chair? And you're on next year, I believe, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, I would like to see, maybe in the beginning, January, February, the plan going forward and some things that the council would have to consider.
Okay.
For this township. That committee is the eyes and ears for some of our sustainability and some of the things that we have to do as a township, especially the stormwater is becoming huge. So we just do need the insight and some ideas on what to focus on in terms of environmental. So whoever's chairing next year. Yeah, we just need, probably some pointers on what to focus on in the coming year.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's good.
Thank you so much. And we also have economic development.
All right, good evening, council. My name is Jabari Adams. I am the vice chair for the Economic Development Committee. So I just want to give you a little bit of rundown of what we've been working on this year and then some things that we have on the horizon for next year. So to start, I was able to actually attend the 30 for 30 mayoral conference last June, I believe, with members of the council, township manager, and we did get to meet these wonderful gentlemen behind me and some other developers. It was a very good experience to be able to kind of see the types of development that are coming into the state of New Jersey, and then what other townships are doing to engage developers and what we're doing to ways that we can kind of use some of those methods to be able to get development to come to Willingboro. We were able to, before that conference, in preparation to that conference, we were able to compile a thorough list of all the vacant commercial property in the township so that we had it readily available for all the developers that came up to our table. We also had some input in some of the conversations that were going on between the township and the developer for the Avery to try to create some more creative options for what they were looking to do with that property. We looked at providing some, prioritizing some of the vacant land or some of the vacant potential developments, mainly on the Route 130 corridor in Willingboro, to kind of, focus our attention on where the township may need to put more focus on trying to purchase those properties. So once again, we have control. Once we have control, we now have a little bit more influence on what development goes there and what doesn't. And we also, one thing that we started doing towards the end, we do look to start compiling and analyzing a lot of data to create like a macroeconomic picture of Willingboro so that when developers and other investors do come into the township, there is something tangible that we can present them and that is factual that kind of gives a better, more vivid picture of why they should be invested in Willingboro and the township. As far as next year, so we have been working on creating something like a small business consortium to kind of help bring the small business community of Willingboro together so that they know who they are, they know who the members of the council are, they know what resources that they have. That then in turn goes to us revitalizing the borough campaign, as you mentioned, to make that give us more of a digital presence and landing page so that there's a digital version of all of the businesses that are in Willingboro, if they have a website, their locations, any offerings that they have, and keep that updated. We're also working on creating a resource hub or packet that will most likely be on that site that provide a lot of the small business resources and a lot of the organizations in the state that provide resources to small business. So that's the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, the SBA, the SBDC, SCORE, all these organizations in the state that they have access to. We are looking to also receive feedback from the community. So we're working on figuring out ways to, when certain things come up, to try to get feedback and input from the community so that we can compile it so that we can kind of present that to council so that you all can have more of a clear picture of what the township, members of the town community actually feel about certain decisions that are being made from an economic perspective. We are going to start looking to market those vacant commercial properties on that website also, so that developers have an easy way of just going to our site, seeing what properties are available, contact information, so that way we can create a clear line of communication between the township and the investors, so that we can try to work together. And we're also working on connecting and developing relationships with developers, like I said, with these gentlemen, where we can start having those public and private partnerships that make sense for the township and the township first, and then everything else after that. So we are looking into, I think the last meeting that we had, I think back in October, we worked on compiling a list of over at least 200 or 300 different types of businesses that we can bring to Willingboro, aside from a dispensary, but businesses and companies that are located in the Midwest or the South that we can start to solicit and try to get them interested in coming over to Willingboro, so that we become a place where you have to come to Willingboro to get these particular, they have these particular businesses in here. Outside of that, that's it.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Jabari? Councilwoman Perron?
Thank you for your presentation. And yes, you touched on a few items that I had spoken about earlier. Marketing is huge. Marketing is everything. If no one knows that we're here, if no one knows we have the property available, then it'll just sit there. So you do have the right idea as far as getting, and everything is social media today. Everything is commercialized through our social media. The good thing about it, it's free. We don't have to pay for a commercial that's aired on ABC, $60,000. We can just market ourselves. So I'm looking forward to seeing things like that because, yeah, we don't need another cannabis. We don't need another dollar store. We really just don't. I think we can do a lot better as far as businesses in Willingboro. And I know the council doesn't really see the vision that I'm talking about, but you know what? I see that here in Willingboro, and I know we can do more than dollar stores and cannabis. I'm not worried that cannabis is going to be a danger to the people. No, it's just distasteful. We can do a lot better. So I'm glad you're on the committee. I'm looking forward to seeing what you produce with the group that you have, who's on your team. But yeah, that's great. Thank you for your presentation.
Oh, one last thing, I'm sorry, and I'm glad you mentioned marketing. Although social media is free, marketing always isn't. So, we will be asking for about $10,000 for a budget for marketing so that we can start to, look at how to develop the website, making sure things are easily accessible for the residents, and making sure that we do have something that we can be consistent with, even with social media. We want to be consistent with our messages. We want to be consistent with the appearance of how it looks. So we want to make sure that we have the funds to be able to do that.
Right, and you're right. Some commercial marketing, some of it is you pay for it, but so yes, absolutely, and that makes sense.
And the council did invest initially $10,000 to try to get the marketing stuff. We did that, the council. Did that, and obviously when we were presenting to the developers, you saw what the product was for the price, but that vision was there. And you also, and just the presence the presence got this going. We had our informational specialists there at these meetings, these developer meetings, and you saw how Willingboro had to outshine everyone else. We had media, we had pamphlets and everything. Our table was nice. The township next to us had zero. And what did developers do? Walk around us to go to the people with nothing. So, we know, we have our finger on the pulse on what we have to do, but getting out, council members have been getting out, and that's why we have, developers like these gentlemen for the Big D Marina, because council has been putting the work in, and our community and our residents, Economic Development Committee has been very resourceful, putting together stuff, trying to make sure that we are marketing ourselves. So thank you for your leadership on the committee. I think we've made great strides, under the leadership of you and Councilwoman Whitfield. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. Councilwoman Whitfield. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. As the liaison for the Economic Development Committee, I just want to thank Mr. Adams for his presentation today and the hard work of all of the members of the committee, Chairman D'Oliveria, Vice Chair Adams, as well as Ms. Lindsay Harvey, Mr. Leggard, and a number of others who, Ms. Hackett, Dr. Hackett, for their diligent work in trying to make Willingboro a better place. We've been pounding the pavement. We've really been racking our brains on how to move Willingboro forward to create the community and the booming economic stronghold that we want to see here in Willingboro, but not only attracting new businesses, but enhancing the businesses that we already have here, putting them on a pedestal and encouraging residents to buy and borrow. I'm looking forward to the plans for next year. I know we laid a tremendous foundation this year, got a lot of new contacts and things started to really spill over into the next year. And I'm excited for what is to come in 2025 under the Economic Development Committee. So thank you again for all of your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other items for new business? Okay, moving on to public comment. If you have any comments or questions, you have 4 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment is now open.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Name is Janice Peppers, CFO of Lee's Pristine Clean, and I'm here to defend myself once again from Councilwoman Perone. I just wanted to say good evening to you, Dr. Worthy, Councilwoman Whitfield, Mayor McIntosh, lovely gentleman, Nat Anderson, and Mr. Harris. There's so much I gotta say. 4 minutes is not gonna be enough. Everything you said tonight was a lie. Let's get it straight, okay? I live at 55 Torrington Lane. I'm a renter. A renter. You said the tax ID numbers didn't match. You pulled up the tax ID for the owners of the property, which is 1401 Nottingham Way from Jersey City. Nothing about our business is fake. Everything is up and up. You checked us out 55 times, so you should know already. But what you don't talk about, which kills me, is how clean your buildings is. Let's talk about the facts. We bust our butts to keep your buildings clean. They ain't never been this clean. 2 years ago, when we walked them on our pretrial, 55 garbage cans was running over in the floor before we took over your building. Walk the garbages now. Walk your buildings now. Your senior center have never been so clean. Shampooed over 25 times. Let's talk about how we buff floors. Let's talk about how clean your toilets is. And then let's talk about the smells of your building. Everybody rants and raves, but you. Every time I see these ladies, they give me support. Every time I see Dion, Kendall, Dennis, everybody gives us support, but you go for the personal. I can go for your personal.
Go ahead. Pay your water bill. I'll start off there.
Okay, you know why I got a big water bill? Because
Pay
I
your
got
water
that
bill.
big
And you know
20-foot
what?
pool in the
Tax
back,
ID
homegirl.
is
I
wrong.
got the pool in
Your
the
name
back.
is not on this application.
Baby.
Did you say your name is Janice?
Talking loud means nothing. You barking means nothing.
What's your name?
I'm not having a seat. You don't scare me. Scare me. You mean nothing. You mean it. Talk the fact. Talk the fact. How clean is your building? How clean is your toilet? What? You full of medication. You are full of medication. I think you full of cocaine. Nah, she gotta stop. You gotta stop. Respect her.
Water bill. $1,600.
So what?
Pay it.
That's 1 month.
Pay your water bill.
Second.
Pay your water bill. Pay your water bill.
Let her go. Let her go.
Pay your water bill.
Second.
Let's talk about
Roll call.
how high was you when you left your house
Roll
at
call.
2 o'clock in the morning to go fight a woman over meat? How high was
Sorry.
you? Oh, how is your name? You got your name.
Yes.
Yes.
Your name don't say Janet on here. It says Ashley. Imposter.
Madam Mayor, your vote?
Just like
Yes.
I said. She the owner, but why doesn't it say she's the owner here? Freaking lies. Pay your water bill. Pay your water bill. Yeah, I'm about to turn it off. Notice to turn her water off. Get out of here. That's right. In the parking lot. And turn off her water bill tomorrow.